We begin today at the Mishnah on Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph. Sagt the Heilige Mishnah. Hanoider mishoivsei Shabbos. A person says he makes a neder, he will not have any benefit of those that rest on Shabbos. Who does that include? Asa Yisrael. So he may not have any benefit of any Yidden that rest on Shabbos. But also V'asa B'kutim. But he's also not allowed to have any hana from kutim. Now kutim are goyim that came in the time of the first Beis Hamikdash. And Melech Ashur, he brought them to Eretz Yisrael, and they were Megayer. But they were Megayer because they were afraid of lions that came to attack them. And this is brought in Gemara many times. There's a machlokes whether these kutim, their gatus is good or their gatus is not good. In this Mishnah, it seems like it's saying that the gatus, this conversion of the kutim, is accepted, and they're considered to be Yidden. And therefore, they're keeping Shabbos. So if you make a neder from those that keep Shabbos, it includes these kutim as well. Ma'ichlei shum.
What's the Jewish one?
If they're not Jewish, then okay, we'll see him in a moment in the Gemara there. Ma'ichlei shum. A person makes a neder, he's not going to have a no from any of those that eat garlic on Friday night. What's the significance about eating garlic on Friday night? So the Rosh over here brings a Gemara in Baba Kama that says an interesting thing, that Ezra was mesaken different takonis. One of the takonis that he was mesaken was to eat garlic on Friday night because it's marbe zera. And that's the zman of the oina of Talmidei Chachamim, so this was a takana of Ezra. So this is a minig by Yidden, amongst Yidden. So therefore, Asa Yisrael, he'll be Aser to have any benefit of a Yid, and also Asa Kutim as well, that converted and have the same minig like Yidden, he'll be Aser from them as well. Ma'ila Yerushalayim, if he makes a neder, not to have any benefit from those that go up to Yerushalayim, so then Asa Yisrael. He can't have any benefit from any Yidden that go up or Eile Regel to the Beis Hamikdash in Yerushalayim, but Umutter Bekutim. But he's allowed to have benefit from the Kutim because they didn't go to Yerushalayim. They had their own place that they built in Grizim, not in Har Grizim, not in Yerushalayim. So therefore, from the Kutim he could have no. Okay, so the Gemara explains here as follows: My Shoivsei Shabbos. When it says in the Mishnah that you're making a neder from those that are resting on Shabbos, what does that mean? How do we define this expression? If you'll say what this means is Mimekaime Shabbos, it really means those that are actually fulfilling it, those that are actually keeping Shabbos. If so, my irye bekutim. So then why are you saying that you'll be asa dafke with kutim that keep Shabbos like Yidden? If it's just referring to those that actually keep the day of Shabbos and actually rest on Shabbos, so then I feel nami. Why wouldn't that include even Goyim as well if a guy decides to rest on Shabbos? So the fact is he's resting on Shabbos. So maybe this should include a guy as well. So Ella, what are you going to answer me? No, it doesn't include a guy. When he says Shoivsei Shabbos, mitzvah ala Shabbos, he means those that are actually commanded on the mitzvah of Shabbos. That's why it doesn't include a guy which is not commanded. So it only includes the Yisrael and the Kutim because the Kutim are also commanded. Like I said before, we accept the conversion of the Kutim. But if so, what does it say in the Sefer of the Mishnah? Me oile Yerushalayim aser Yisrael. If you make a neder, not to have enough from oile Yerushalayim, so you aser from Yisrael, from Yidden that go to Yerushalayim, or mutter bekutim. But you're mutter to have enough from the kutim that did not actually go up to Yerushalayim. But why not? Amai. If we understand this language to mean that those that are commanded to keep Shabbos, so here as well, when he's making a neder from Oile Yerushalayim, it should mean those that are commanded to go up to Yerushalayim. And the Kutim are also commanded to go up to Yerushalayim. So even though if they're not actually going, your neder should include them as well. So the Gemara explains, Omar Abaye, what this Lashon actually means is both. Mitzvah ve'oiseketani. When the person makes a neder, Shoivsei Shabbos, or Oile Yerushalayim, it means ones that are commanded to keep Shabbos and actually keep Shabbos. Betarti bavi kamaise. So in the first two cases in the Mishnah, Yisrael v'kutim, so both the Yidden and the Kutim, mitzovin, they're commanded to keep Shabbos, or regarding the Shum, they have the minig, this takana of Ezra to eat the garlic, and v'aisen, and they do it. The Kutim also do it, and therefore you ask from both. But oivdei kachavim, hahud avdi, when it comes to Goyim, even those that do so, meaning even those Goyim that keep Shabbos, but oisen ve'ena mitzvah, they keep Shabbos, but they're not commanded to keep Shabbos. And in fact, like you mentioned before, they're not even allowed to keep Shabbos. Akum sheshavas chayiv misa. But ba'oile Yerushalayim, when it comes to going up to Yerushalayim, Yisrael mitzvah v'oisen. So Yidden are commanded to go up to Yerushalayim and they fulfill as well. So that's included in the neder of Oile Yerushalayim, because again, it has to be both mitzvah v'oisen. But kutim mitzuvim ve'enam ma'asim. They're commanded to go up to Yerushalayim, but they don't actually go up to Yerushalayim, so it's not included in the neder. Zok Teilige Mishnah.
In short, what was his neder? What in the Mishnah? What neder did he make?
He's not going to have anah.
Have somebody who's Yid's not going to have enough. Somebody from another Yid who keeps Shabbos.
Correct. That's the neder.
It's a beautiful neder.
Zok Teilige Mishnah. Here's another beautiful one. Kainam. Person makes a neder. She'eni nena lebnei Noach. I will not have any anah of the descendants of Noach. Who are the descendants of Noach? Mutter bi Yisrael, so he's allowed to have anah from all Yidden, and v'asa b'ev kechavim, he's not allowed to have anah from any goyim. Fragt the Gemara, v'Yisrael minafik meklal b'nei Noach, Yidden are not the descendants of Noach? We all are descendants of Noach. After the Mabul, that's all that was left. Says the Gemara, no, but kivin the iktish Avram, once Avram was sanctified and he was chosen and he became the first Yid, Iskaru al Shmei. All Yidden are called the descendants of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. We're not anymore considered to be the descendants of Noach, and therefore the expression of Bnei Noach does not include Yidden. Zok Teilige Mishneh she'eni nene l'zera Avram. Person makes a neder, I will not have any benefit of the descendants of Avram. So what does this mean? Asu bi Yisrael. He's not allowed to have anah of any Yidden because we are the descendants of Avram. Umutter b'ev dikechavim. And we're allowed to have anah from any goyim. So the Gemara asks on this, but va'ika Yishmael. There are amongst the Goyim, the Yishmaelim, that they come from Avram Avinu. Answers the Gemara, no, but the Eibusha told Avram, Ki bi Yitzchak yikar l'chazar aksiv, that it's with Yitzchak, that he will be called your descendant. Yishmael, the Lashon that says in another place, Yatsa mimenu Yishmael, he left and he got disconnected from Avram Avinu, and therefore he's not considered to be his descendant. Fragt the Gemara, but vayike Esav. How about Esav? All the Goyim that come from Esav, they come from Yitzchak. So they're also descendants of Avram. Answers the Gemara, but the pasuk says, Be Yitzchak. Ki be Yitzchak yikar v'lo kol Yitzchak. Not the entire, both children of Yitzchak are his descendants. When Avram was told, Be Yitzchak yikar l'chazara, it means part of Yitzchak, which is only Yaakov and not Esav. Zok Teilige Mishnah, person makes a neder, she'eni nene mi Yisrael. He says, I will not have any anah from another Yid. Now, the simple pshat of this Mishnah is, he's saying he's not going to have anah from any Yid. No Yidin at all. But you could also learn this Mishnah, that some learn this Mishnah, that it means he's saying, I'm not going to have anah from a particular Yid, one particular person. Be it as it may, the point is that he made a neder not to have anah from a Yid. And now, this Mishnah will discuss what's with any transactions, buying, selling. If you're buying from this person or selling from this person, there's hana involved. You're buying this item, so you're having hana from what you're buying. If you're selling, you're getting paid, you're also having hana from him. So are you allowed to buy and sell to this person? So the Mishnah says, if you say that you're not going to have hana from this Yisrael, so lekeyach beyaser. So when you buy from him, you should buy when it's overpriced, meaning you should pay a big price, so you're not having hana, because you're paying overpriced for this. And when you sell to him, so then you have to sell it underpriced. So like this, he's having the anah because he's paying a cheap price. You're not having any anah by selling this. What's if it's the opposite? She Yisrael nanenli, person makes a neder that no Yid should have anah from me. So now the Mishnah says you have to do the opposite. He's not allowed to have anah from you, so lekeyach bepachis. So then he has to buy it from when it's underpriced like this. He will not have any anah from you. Again, you have to buy it from him. If you're buying something from him, you buy it underpriced. So he's not having any anah from you, right? And and you sell him. When you sell him, you overcharge him. So like this, he's not having anah from you. You're overcharging him. But the Mishnah says, who's going to listen to you to do this? So he's not going to. Okay, or so the Ram brings another gersa here. If he's going to be ready, if he's going to listen to you, you can do this. But Mishnah basically is trying to say there's no other way out. This is the only thing you could do. If he's not going to listen to you, too bad. Now, what if the person said she'eni nene lehen v'hein liyena v'hein li yena? Then I will not have anah from them, and they from me will not have anah. Your neder is both ways, right? So now you can't sell or buy in any way. Whatever you do, someone is having anah. If you overprice it, so that if you get paid, so you're having anah. If you're selling it for less, so then the buyer's having anah. So either way, none of them could have anah from each other. So then, loiv dikechav, your neder was not to have anah from Yidden, or the Yidden shouldn't have anah from you, so you'll only be able to sell and buy from a guy. Or Yehana loiv dikechavim. Okay, so you can be mahana to a guy by selling to a guy, buying from a guy, but not with another Yid because you can't have anah from each other. Zok the Gemara, Omar Shmuel. So Shmuel said, the Gemara here brings a statement from Shmuel, and then it will ask from what it said just now in the Mishnah here. So Shmuel said, Halekeyach keli min uman. A person buys a vessel from a craftsman, but he didn't yet buy it because he took it basically levakre, to examine it, to see if he's going to want to buy it or not. Now, as it's in his hand, it fell out of his hand, it cracked and broke. So what happens now? Chayiv, he's going to be chayiv even if it was an oinus, so he's chayiv to pay for this. What's the reason he's chayiv to pay for this? Because when he took this as a buyer, and the Ran over here says the price was set already, there's no negotiating about the price, so the moment he decides he wants to buy it, he can buy it, he can keep it. So, but he didn't buy it yet. So therefore, what's his status at this point? His status with this vessel he has in his possession is a shoyel. He's a borrower. Okay. What's the halacha of a borrower? The halacha of a borrower is kol ana shaloi, because he's the one that has the entire benefit of this. That's how you define a borrower. A borrower is obligated to pay for einsin because he's the one that gets the full benefit of this, and therefore he has to pay for an einis. So just a second. So over here as well, this borrower is the full benefit is his, and therefore he has to pay for the einis that occurs. Okay, so now the thing is, why is the full benefit the buyer's benefit? The seller is also having benefit out of this. No, he's selling this item. So what you see over here from what Shmuel is saying, as the Gemara now says, Alme kesavar hanas lekeyachi. When a sale happens, person is selling and a buying. Who's the one that we consider as having the full benefit of this? The buyer. And that's why this buyer over here, if an einus occurs before he actually bought it, but because he's a buyer and he could buy it at any given moment, the price was set already. So therefore, the buyer is the one that has the full benefit, and he's going to be chayiv on this einus.
No kinyan.
Okay. So now, frek the Gemara from what it says in our Mishnah. From our Mishnah, we see that the benefit of a sale, it's not so pashut. What did the Mishnah basically say? The Gemara's question over here will be that if you look in the Mishnah, it depends on the price. Is it overpriced? Is it underpriced? That's what it depends on who has the benefit. We're not going to say by a sale that it's considered to be always the buyer's benefit, like Shmuel is saying. So let's see. Tanan, what did it say in the Mishnah? She'eini nen Yisrael. A person says, I will not have any benefit from Yisrael. So then what happens? Moiche bepachis. So the Mishnah says, so if you're selling it, so you have to sell it with a lower price. So like this, there'll be no hana. You're not getting any hana from this Yisrael because you're not getting paid a proper price for it. So what do you understand from a Mishnah? Avol shave b'shave. If this is a regular sale and it's being sold for its regular price, so then the seller is getting a benefit. He's getting a proper price. So it's the seller's benefit as well. So then you can't sell it with his price. Now, but if from what Shmuel says, that he considers a person that's holding this item to purchase, and he's considered to be fully the benefit of the buyer, and that's why he has the status of a borrower, and he's going to be obligated to pay for an einus. So if we're going to say that it's the hana de lekeyach, sa'afil shave b'shave, so then even if this is something which is sold for the regular price, so the halacha should still be that you can sell this. The meicher, which made the neder that he will not have any hana, is getting no hana. Shmuel says the seller in a regular sale gets no hana. It's considered to be fully the benefit and the hana just of the buyer. Answers the Gemara, depends on the situation. Depends what kind of item this is. Masnisin bizvine deromi alape. The Mishnah is speaking about a sale of an item that's lying in his face. It's lying in front of him, meaning it's an item which is hard to sell. So therefore, in such a case, the seller does get a benefit by the sale because it's a hard to sell item. Adarabah, the buyer is not the one that has so much of a benefit by buying this because the buyer has many places he can buy this item. It's a hard to sell item, he can go anywhere and find it and buy it. But it's for the seller, this is something which is hard to sell, and therefore it's considered to be for the benefit of the seller, and therefore the Mishnah said, only if you're going to be getting a cheap price for this, then you're not getting any hana. If that's what our Mishnah is speaking about, a hard to sell item, and therefore it's for the benefit of the meicher when he sells. So what was the first point that the Mishnah said? So the Mishnah says, like keyach b'yaiser. that when you are the lekeach, you're buying this item from somebody, so you should pay a bigger price for this. And only then will I say that you're not getting any benefit. But why are you saying that you have to pay a bigger price for this in order that it shouldn't be for the benefit of the lekeach? If we're talking about something which is hard to sell, even if you're just paying the regular price, who's the one that gets the benefit in such a case? The seller, the meicher, because he has a hard time selling this. So why does the Mishnah here say that you have to pay a bigger price in order that it should be to the benefit of the seller? For oid, besides this, aim a seifa. What does the Mishnah in the seifa say? Sheisrael nenenli. When the person says that this Yisrael should not have anah from me. So the Mishnah says, so when you buy from him, pay him a cheaper price. Like this, he's not going to have any anah from you. But then the Mishnah also said, and this is what the Gemara is going to focus on right now, and when you're selling to him, so sell him and charge him a bigger overpriced. So he's not going to have anah from you. But the question is, if, like we just said, we're speaking over here in the Mishnah about an item that lies in your face, it's hard to sell. So then even if it's a regular price, so then it should be the same thing. The benefit is to the seller. You're the seller, and this person that's not allowed to have anah from you, he's the buyer. So even if you sell them to a regular price, you're the one, only the seller's having anah. The buyer's not having any anah, because this is a hard to sell item. He could buy this anywhere else. So why does the Mishnah say that you have to overcharge him in order that it shouldn't be the buyer's anah? Answers the Gemara. So we're going to have to say that the Reisha of the Mishnah and the Seifa of the Mishnah is not the same circumstance. Seifa bezvina charifa. The Seifa is speaking about that the item that you're selling is actually very easily sold. It's an item that sells well. Everyone wants. What's the expression they use there? A what?
High demand.
A high demand item. Yeah. So everybody wants to buy this, and therefore, in such a case, it will be for the benefit of the seller, not the seller, the buyer, exactly, because the seller can easily sell this, but the buyer has a hard time finding this, and therefore, in such a case, you have to dafke overcharge him. Right. Okay. So, but the Gemara did not answer the question that it had on the Reisha. The Gemara is only answering the question of the Seifa, but the Gemara still continues asking over here regarding the Seifa itself. You're telling me that in the Seifa it's speaking about a situation where this is a high demand item, and therefore the one that's getting the benefit is the buyer. So, but if so, lekeach bepachis. When it says over here that you made a neder that this lekeach should not have any anah from you, so lekeach again, not that lekeach shouldn't have anah from you. You made a neder that nobody should have anah from you, and you're now buying from that person. So why does it say in the Mishnah lekeach bepachis that you have to buy it from him for a lower price? Even if you buy from him in a regular price, since he's the seller, he's not having hana if it's a regular price. Since we're talking about a high demand item, the seller doesn't have the hana. The buyer has the hana, even by a regular price. It's only the buyer that has the hana. So why is the Mishnah saying that you have to make sure that you're giving him a lower price, it's underpriced? So basically, what you see over here is the Gemara pointed out that when it comes to this question of who has anah, the buyer or the seller, it doesn't only depend on the price, whether you're overcharging or undercharging. It depends also on the item. Is it a high demand item? Is it a hard to sell item? So either way, you're going to learn our Mishnah. It's hard to understand what the Mishnah. Why is the Mishnah constantly saying that it depends on the price? All it should depend on is on the item itself. What is this item in the market? So the Gemara answers, the reason why the Mishnah says it depends on the price is because Elo Masnisin, the entire Mishnah, we don't have to say the Reisha and the Seifa are different cases. The entire Mishnah is all speaking about one case, Bezvine Mitzah, that this is an item that is sold. It's not high demand, it's not something which is difficult to sell, it's a regular demand for this item. Well, now, when it comes to something which is a regular demand, so this kind of a sale could be a benefit for the seller, and it could also be a benefit for the buyer. Either way, goes both ways. And that's why the Mishnah says, in such a kind of an item, it will depend on the price. If you're overcharging, so then the seller gains. And if you're undercharging, so then the buyer gains. And that's why the Mishnah said that it depends on the price. Or the Shmuel. When Shmuel says that who's the one that has the entire benefit, the buyer, bizvina charifa. When it's something which is a high demand item, and therefore he's the one that has the full benefit of this, and therefore if it breaks in his possession, he'll be a shayel and he'll have to be paid for an einus. Tanya, Kavasei the Shmuel. Now the Gemara brings that there's another brayse that said, similar to the halacha like Shmuel said, Halekech kelim and atagar. Person that takes vessels from a merchant, and he's not sure if he wants to buy this because he's buying it as a gift for his in-laws. L'shagron lebeis chamav. He's going to send it to his in-laws, or maybe to his wife that's there by his in-laws, and he wants to see if they'll like it. If they'll like it, he'll buy it for them. And he says to the seller, to this merchant, if they'll accept it from me, I'll pay you for it. But if they don't accept it, so then they'll send it back and I'll return it to you. So then I'll only pay you for the benefit that I had of this, the fact that I used it and that I showed that I'm ready to buy a gift. So I'll pay you only that amount for this, but I won't pay you for the item itself. I'm returning it. What's the halacha? So the Braisa says, Nansu bahaliche, if an oinus occurred with this vessel on its way, then when it was being sent to the in-laws, chayiv, you'll be chayiv for this, because according to the Ran's pshat over here is you're a shayil. You're taking this, and this is you're as a buyer, and you took it as a buyer to examine, and the benefit is fully yours at this point, and because the benefit is fully yours, so therefore you're going to be chayiv for this. But b'chazare, if the einus happened when it's on its way back to return back to this merchant, so then potter. At this point, you're going to be potter for an einus, and the reason is mipnei shuhu k'nais sachar, because you're only a sheim sachar. At this point, the benefit of you having this item is not fully yours because you're not even keeping it. You're returning it to the merchant. What's the halacha? So you do have a benefit. You have a benefit from the fact that you use this to show it to your in-laws, and you're showing how much you want to buy them a gift, but nevertheless you can't say the benefit at this point is fully yours because it's already on the way back. You're returning it to the merchant. So therefore you consider it to be like a sheim sachar. You have the obligation to guard it, to make sure that it's in good condition, but you got a certain schar for this. You got a certain pay for this, meaning the benefit that you're able to use it to show it to your in-laws. So what's the halacha? What's the difference between a shayil and a sheim sachar? A shayil, that the benefit is fully his, is chayiv even in a einus, even something that happens that's out of your control. A sheim sachar that's guarding something and gets paid for it is not chayiv for an einus, because the one that you're guarding it for has a benefit as well, and therefore you only chayiv for geneve va'aveda. But if an einus happens, you'll be potter. The Gemara brings a story that happened. Ahus safsire the shakal chamra. Because he's having a benefit, and the merchant also has a benefit. On the way back.
What's the way back? What's the benefit on the way back?
On the way back, the fact that he had, well, it is in his possession. It still didn't get back to he still has the obligation. He took responsibility that he's going to return it back to the owner. If he's not buying it, he took the responsibility, right?
He's the one who's sending it, not the seller didn't send it. The buyer sent it.
Yeah, it's in his possession. Sure, this buyer has it in his possession.
Why we call him a paid shomer?
A what?
Why is he a paid shomer?
Because paid, he's not getting paid money, but he has hana. His pay is the fact that he was allowed to show it. The very fact that he's allowed to show it is a certain hana. Right? You have this all the time.
But also in today's times, the seller sends it.
No, that's not what we're talking about over here. It says over here, lekeach kelim. He took those kelim. He's sending it. Gemara brings another story that happened. Ahu safsire the shakal chamre lezvuni. A person took a safsire. The safsire is a broker, right? A middleman. Okay, so this middleman takes this donkey lezvuni to go and sell it in the marketplace. Now the deal that he has is that he takes this donkey from the owner to take it to the marketplace to sell. If it gets sold, then he gets a commission. If it doesn't get sold, he brings it back to the owner. V'lo yizbin, it didn't get sold. Now Bahadi, the hodder, on his way back home, bringing this donkey back from the marketplace back to the owner, itnes chamra. An einus happened to this donkey, it died, and now what the question is he obligated as a borrower to pay for this or not? So what happened? Chayve Rav Nachman l'shlumi. Rav Nachman obligated him to pay for this einus that occurred when he was already on the way back with the donkey. So Rav Nachman, so Rav asked Rav Nachman, didn't we just learn in the Braisa? If you were taking a vessel or over here the donkey and you're on the way to the marketplace and you're going to sell it, so then chayiv, on your way there to sell, so then you're going to be chayiv. But b'chazar, if you're already on the way back, once you're on the way back, you're bringing it back to the owner, so now you can't say that the hana is all yours because you're already on your way giving it back. So over here, potter, in such a case, you're going to be potter, it's not, the hana is not all yours, so you're not chayiv for an einus. Amalei, so Rav Nachman answered, this case is different than what it says in the Braisa, the person that took this vessel to bring to his in-laws. Why? Chazare dev safsire, even on his way back, It'll have the same halacha like when he's on his way to the marketplace. The reason is the ilo mashkech lezvuni afila above the base. If he would find somebody to sell this to, even when he's standing at the door of his house, milei mazbele, wouldn't he sell it? By the person that took the vessels to his in-laws. So once his in-laws didn't want it, on the way back, it's for sure going back to the seller, to the merchant, or to the craftsman. Over here, on your way back to the last moment, you hope maybe I'll still find someone to buy this. Person makes a neder, I will not have a no from people that are areilim. Areilim means a person that had no bris. So what does this expression include? Mutte ba'areil Yisrael. Even Yidden that did not have a bris yet, for whatever reason, they can't have a bris, for medical reasons, whatever it is, they still are not called areilim. But v'ase b'mulei oiv dekechavim. On the other hand, a guy, even a guy that was circumcised, still, you're going to be asur from him because he's also called an oral, areilim. Shani nen mulim, a person says, I make a net that I will not have hana from those that had a bris. The term mulim, what does that include? Asur ba'areili Yisrael. So, he'll be asur even from those yidden that did not have a bris. But a mutter b'mulei of the gechavim. And he'll be allowed to have hana even from goyim that were circumcised. They're not called mulim. The mulim refers to a yid that had a bris. The term arla is an expression that goes on goyim b'chlal. As the Mishnah here brings a few psukim. Shenema kichol goyim areilim l'chol beis Yisrael arli leiv. Goyim are called areilim. Yidden could be called arli leiv, that they have a closed heart, but goyim are called areilim. Vayim another pasuk v'hoya plishti ha'aral hazeh. Plishti is a aral. Vayim a third pasuk pentis machna b'nois plishtim pentaloizna b'nois ha'areilim. So it refers to the goyim as areilim. Mishnah continues b'chlal regarding the big maila of the mitzvah of bris milah. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said, Mu'usa hiya arla shenizgana barishayim. Repulsive is the arla that the goyim were disgraced by this. Shenem, as the pasuk says, ki kol ha-goyim areilim. All goyim are called areilim. Rabbi Shmuel said, Gedoyla milah is very great. Shenichresu aleh shloish esri brisais. There are 13 times bris that it says in the Torah in Parshas Lech Lecha when it speaks about the mitzvah of bris milah. 13 times it says the lashon of bris. So this shows how great this mitzvah is. And the main point that the Mishnah is trying to say here is, in connection to what it said before, that this applies to every single yid. The mitzvah of bris is every single yid has this special connection through the mitzvah of bris, even a yid that couldn't have a bris. Rabbi Yaisi says, Gedayla milah shadeiches ha-Shabbos chamura. Milah is so great that it pushes off even Shabbos. That's one of the most stringent mitzvahs. Rabbi Shua ben Karcha Gedayla milah shlenitla leila Moshe atzadik aleh miloisha. Milah is so great that Hashem didn't give Moshe Rabbeinu even an hour to fulfill this mitzvah. And he even waited a short time to fulfill the mitzvah with his children, and his life was in danger. Rav Nechemia, as the Mishnah, the Gemara here will bring the story. Rav Nechemia said, Gedoyla milah, how great is the mitzvah of milah? Shedoiche es hanegoyim. It pushes off a nega. There's a law to cut off a nega a person has. But if a person has a nega in the place of the bris and he has to fulfill the mitzvah, so it pushes off this law of cutting off a nega. Rabbi said, Gedoyla milah. Milah is so great, shekol ha-mitzvahs, she'asa Avram Avinu. All the mitzvahs Avram Avinu did, lo nikra shalim. He was not referred to in the Torah as being complete. At Shemal, until he had the bris. Shenem, as the pasuk says, is halach lefonai v'hayei tamim. You'll go in front of me, and over there speaking about the bris, only then you'll be whole. Okay, but the Mishnah uses the term shalem. Shalem means that only when a person has a bris is he complete with all of his heivarim. Okay, we'll see the Gemara. We'll talk about this more. We'll get back to this in the Gemara. Now the Gemara continues. Another thing. Davarach, another pshat. Gedayla milah. How great is milah shel malehi? If not for this mitzvah, lo yibara kadosh baruch hu esay lamay. The Eibush would have not created the world. Shenem akayam Hashem im lo birisi yomim v'layla chukei shemayim v'aretz leisamti. If not for the bris that we have in this world, so then the laws of heaven and earth I would have not created. There's one more thing, according to the Girsa, and you have in the En Yaakov, the Ran, if you look here in the Agos with Tziyunim, at least in the side of this Gemara, they bring it, the Ran brings it, that Rabbi said, G'dayla mila shishkula keneged kol ha-mitzvahs. Mila is greater than all other mitzvahs. Sheneme hine dam bris, hine dam, what's the conclusion of that pasuk? What? You have that continuation of the pasuk? Okay, so over there you see that the bris is connected all mitzvahs of the Torah. Okay, let's see over here the story that the Gemara says that happened by Moshe Rabbeinu. Tanya Rabbi Shua ben Karchaim, G'dayla Mila Shekol Zechuyesh Shasa Moshe Rabbeinu. Mila is so great, even after all the merits Moshe Rabbeinu had. Lo yomdu lo. They did not stand for him. They did not protect him. Kishenisrashal min amila. When he was lazy or when he was negligent regarding the mitzvah of Mila. Shenem, as it says, Vayivkisheu Hashem, Vayivakisham Misai. On his way traveling back to Mitzrayim with his sons, and he did not give them a bris yet, and the Eibishter came and ambushed him, so to speak, and was going to kill him, as the pasuk there describes, a story with a snake that was going to kill Moshe Rabbeinu. What happened over here? So the Gemara explains, Amar Rebbe, Chas v'shalom, God forbid, Moshe Rabbeinu nisrashal min amila, that he was negligent regarding this mitzvah. Ella, what happened? Kachoma. This is what Moshe Rabbeinu said. Emoil ve'eit say, will I do the mitzvah of bris with my son, and then I should go out on the way? I can't. Sakanihi. To take a baby, that the mitzvah of bris was just done, and to travel a long way like this is a sakana. So I'll have to wait 3 days. By Shechem it says that on the third day of the bris, the people there in the city, on the third day, they were all very weak, so he has to wait 3 days. So now, so maybe I should do the mitzvah, bris, and I'll wait. I'll wait 3 days. I can't wait 3 days. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Amali Leich Shov Mitzrayim. The Eibishter says, go, return to Mitzrayim. How could I wait? I also have a mitzvah of bris, but I also have a mitzvah to return immediately to Mitzrayim. So therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu that waited to do this bris, he didn't wait. He was doing a mitzvah. He was traveling to Mitzrayim. That's what he had to do right now. So why was there an einish? Because when Moshe Rabbeinu had to stop along the way to Mitzrayim, shenisasik b'molein tchila, he first, when he came to the hotel where he was, he first occupied himself with setting things up over there in the hotel, whatever, being there in the hotel, before he did the mitzvah of the bris. Shenem, as the pasuk says, where did this happen, that the snake came to attack him? It was here in this hotel, and he should have done the bris before anything. As soon as he stopped, he should have immediately done the mitzvah of bris. Okay, now the Ran over here adds to this. Didn't we just say that the moment you do the mitzvah of bris, you can't continue traveling? So he won't be able to continue going to Mitzrayim. How could he do the mitzvah of bris? Says the Ran, it wasn't such a long distance. When he was traveling from Midian to Mitzrayim, a very long distance, it was dangerous for him to travel with his baby. But over here, he was already close enough to Mitzrayim that he could have done the bris right away and stopped right over there. Just let's finish to the dot over here in the Gemara. Rab Shimon Gamliel said, it wasn't Moshe Rabbeinu that the Satan wanted to kill, but rather Ella loisetinik. It was a baby that was his life was in danger. That's who he wanted to kill. Shenema, as the pasuk says, Ki chasan dom matali tseirei mi kari chasen. Who is it that's referred to as a chasen? Have a aimer zat tinik. The child, the child is the chasen. By a bris, the father is the chasen. The child that's having the bris, he's called the chasen of the event. So therefore the chasen refers to the child, and he's the one that the malach in the form of a snake wanted to kill.